The Curse of Oedipus. The Curse of Oedipus originates in Thebes with King Laius, who violated sacred guest host laws earlier in life by abducting Chrysippus, the son of King Pelops. As punishment, an oracle declared that Laius would be killed by his own son. When his wife Jocasta gave birth, Laius ordered the infant's ankles pinned and the child abandoned on Mount Cithaeron. Contrary to expectations, the baby survived and was raised by the royal family of Corinth, receiving the name Oedipus, meaning swollen foot. As a young man, Oedipus consulted the oracle at Delphi after hearing rumors about his parentage. The oracle did not answer his question but foretold that he would kill his father and marry his mother. Believing the Corinthian king and queen were his true parents, Oedipus fled Corinth. On the road, he encountered Laius at a crossroads and killed him during a dispute, unknowingly committing patricide. Later, Oedipus solved the riddle of the Sphinx, freeing Thebes and earning Jocasta's hand in marriage. Years afterward, a plague revealed the truth. Jocasta died by suicide, and Oedipus blinded himself and went into exile. The curse continued through his children. Eteocles and Polynices killed each other in civil war, while Antigone died defying royal law. In Greek myth, the curse unfolds through prophecy, choice, and consequence rather than supernatural force. The Curse of the House of Atreus. The Curse of the House of Atreus begins with Tantalus, a favored king who tested the gods by violating sacred boundaries. He stole ambrosia and nectar to share with mortals and committed a greater crime by killing his son Pelops and serving him to the gods to test their omniscience. The gods recognized the deception, revived Pelops, and condemned Tantalus to eternal punishment in the underworld, where food and water remained forever out of reach. This act established a legacy of sacrilege and betrayal. Pelops' life continued under this shadow. He later killed King Oedipus through treachery to win Hippodamia, further reinforcing the curse. Pelops' sons, Atreus and Thyestes, inherited this violent legacy. Their rivalry escalated when Thyestes seduced Atreus' wife and stole a sacred golden ram. In revenge, Atreus murdered Thyestes' sons and unknowingly fed them to their father, repeating Tantalus' crime of cannibalistic deception. The curse persisted into the next generation. Agamemnon, Atreus' son, sacrificed his daughter Iphigenia to appease Artemis and secure passage to Troy. Upon his return, he was killed by his wife Clytemnestra and her lover Aegisthus, Thyestes' surviving son. Their children Orestes and Electra continued the cycle through matricide and exile. Greek myth presents the House of Atreus as an example of inherited guilt, where divine punishment unfolds through repeated human choices rather than sudden supernatural intervention. The Curse of the Necklace of Harmonia. The Necklace of Harmonia originates in the wedding of Harmonia and Cadmus, founders of Thebes. The necklace was crafted by Hephaestus, either as a gift or as an act of revenge linked to Aphrodite's infidelity, depending on the version of the myth. Although exquisitely beautiful, the necklace carried a latent curse that brought disaster to its owners, rather than immediate divine punishment. Harmonia herself lived peacefully, but the object became dangerous once passed to later generations. The necklace reappeared among the royal descendants of Thebes, where it became associated with betrayal, ambition, and violent death. It was owned by Semele's family and later by Eurypyle, who was bribed with the necklace to betray her husband Amphiaraus, sending him to his death during the War of the Seven against Thebes. Eurypyle was later killed by her own son as retribution. Afterward, the necklace continued its destructive path through priests and rulers who possessed it, bringing ruin regardless of status or intent. Greek mythology treats the necklace as a vehicle for moral consequence rather than active malevolence. Its curse functions by intensifying human weakness, greed, desire, and envy, showing how objects associated with divine craftsmanship can transmit suffering across generations without direct intervention from the gods. The Curse of Medusa's Gaze. Medusa was one of the three Gorgon sisters, unique in being mortal, while Stheno and Uriel were immortal. In early versions of Greek myth, Medusa was transformed by Athena into a monster whose gaze turned living beings to stone. This transformation followed an act deemed sacrilegious within Athena's temple, prompting a punishment that altered Medusa's physical form and imposed a permanent, lethal power. Her hair became living serpents, her face terrifying, and her eyes deadly to meet. The curse functioned automatically and without intent. Any direct eye contact resulted in instant petrification, making Medusa unable to engage with others without causing death. Unlike curses tied to lineage or objects, this one was inseparable from Medusa herself. The power acted as both defense and isolation, ensuring no approach without fatal consequence. The hero Perseus overcame the curse by avoiding direct sight, using Athena's polished shield as a mirror to guide his strike. Even after Medusa's death, the curse persisted. Her severed head retained its petrifying power and was used as a weapon before being placed on Athena's aegis. Greek mythology presents Medusa's gaze as an example of divine punishment embedded in the body, irreversible and enduring, reinforcing the idea that offenses against the gods result in permanent and inescapable consequences. The curse of King Midas. King Midas of Phrygia became involved with the god Dionysus after showing hospitality to Silenus, the god's companion. In gratitude, Dionysus granted Midas a wish. Midas asked that everything he touched be turned into gold, and the god fulfilled the request without alteration or warning. At first, the power appeared beneficial, as objects, plants, and treasures instantly transformed into precious metal. The consequences emerged through ordinary necessity. Food and drink turned to gold before he could consume them, removing his ability to eat or survive. In later versions of the myth, Midas also transformed his daughter when he touched her, demonstrating that the curse extended beyond material wealth into personal relationships. The power did not distinguish between valuable and essential, converting all contact into lifeless substance. Unable to endure the effects, Midas pleaded with Dionysus to remove the gift. The god instructed him to wash in the river Pactolus, where the golden power was transferred to the water and sands. Greek mythology presents the curse as conditional rather than permanent, functioning as a corrective lesson. The story emphasizes that divine favors operate according to literal interpretation, and that desire for excess can destabilize natural life, turning abundance into deprivation and survival into suffering. The curse of the Erinyes, Furies. The Erinyes, known in Latin as the Furies, are ancient chthonic deities associated with justice, oaths, and blood guilt. They specifically pursue individuals who commit crimes within the family, such as murder of a parent, sibling, or child. Their involvement is automatic and ritualized. Once kin blood is shed, the offender becomes marked and subject to their pursuit, regardless of motive or justification. Unlike Olympian gods who may intervene selectively, the Erinyes enforce an older, inflexible moral order. Their punishment is primarily psychological rather than physical. Victims experience madness, paranoia, nightmares, and relentless fear, making escape impossible even in exile. The curse does not require direct contact. Awareness of guilt is enough to sustain their influence. The myth of Orestes illustrates their function. After killing his mother Clytemnestra to avenge his father Agamemnon, Orestes was hunted by the Erinyes, despite acting under Apollo's command. This conflict revealed competing systems of justice, vengeance versus legal judgment. The curse ended only when Athena established a trial in Athens, transforming the Erinyes into the Eumenides, or kindly ones. Greek mythology uses the Erinyes to show that familial crimes generate enduring moral consequences that cannot be erased by intent, authority, or time. The curse of King Midas's labyrinth. The labyrinth was constructed on Crete by the master craftsman Daedalus at the command of King Minos. It was designed to contain the Minotaur, a creature born from Minos's failure to honor a vow to Poseidon. The structure was engineered to be inescapable, with shifting passages and deceptive symmetry that disoriented anyone who entered. Unlike a curse placed on a person or object, the labyrinth functioned as a built environment that imposed danger through design. Minos used the labyrinth as an instrument of punishment and dominance, demanding that Athens send 7 youths and 7 maidens as tribute to be devoured by the Minotaur. This practice extended the curse beyond Crete, drawing innocent victims into its lethal system. Entry into the labyrinth carried near certain death, whether by starvation, disorientation, or the monster itself. The hero Theseus survived by combining human intelligence with external aid. Ariadne provided him with a thread, allowing him to navigate the maze and escape after killing the Minotaur. Greek mythology presents the labyrinth as a form of systemic punishment, where architecture enforces consequence. It demonstrates that curses can be embedded in structures and institutions, transforming space itself into a mechanism of fear, control, and mortality. The curse of Hecuba's revenge. Hecuba was the queen of Troy and the wife of King Priam, witnessing the destruction of her city and the deaths of nearly all her children during and after the Trojan War. After Troy's fall, she was taken captive by the Greeks, where further losses intensified her suffering, including the murder of her son Polydorus and the sacrifice of her daughter Polyxena. These acts transformed Hecuba from a grieving mother into an agent of retribution. Rather than wielding direct supernatural power, Hecuba enacted vengeance through ritual, speech, and calculated action. In some traditions, she blinded the Thracian king Polymestor for killing Polydorus, invoking divine justice to legitimize her revenge. Greek mythology portrays her curses and laments as carrying weight because of their moral authority and emotional intensity, aligning mortal outrage with divine will. The consequences extended beyond immediate targets. Hecuba's rage is linked to the broader misfortunes that later befell Greek leaders, including Agamemnon's violent death upon returning home. In some versions, the gods transformed Hecuba into a dog, symbolizing her complete break from human order. Her story illustrates how grief-driven vengeance can function as a curse, where human suffering becomes a catalyst for ongoing punishment, blending mortal agency with divine consequence across generations. If you enjoyed this myth, join us for more myths deconstructed.